Every betrayal has a sound. Some arrive like a slammed door, others like a chair scraping across the floor. Mine arrived as laughter. Warm, familiar laughter shared with someone who never should have heard it. My name is Nora Ellingson, 32 years old. Most people think I am quiet, methodical, harmless. I let them think that. For 5 years, I built a boutique design brand with my best friend, Tessa Holm. I drew every concept, planned every launch, shaped every collection. She talked, pitched, smiled, and networked her way into rooms I never wanted to stand in. I was the blueprint. She was the signature. When Amon Price, an investor with polished charm, showed up, Tessa became a spotlight. He shook my hand but looked at her. In meeting rooms built for 3, I always felt like the extra chair no one noticed until it got in the way. Amon suggested formalizing the company. Both of you will get the structure you deserve, he promised. Tessa didn't even glance at me before agreeing. A stack of documents appeared on the table. She said, "I'll review it for both of us, Nora. You hate legal text anyway." I let her. That was the first mistake I will never repeat. We signed. Or rather, she did. Champagne followed, photos, a toast. She tagged everyone but me in the post. I told myself titles didn't matter when loyalty did. The first crack came weeks later. An internal branding draft landed in my inbox. Our old name was gone. In its place was a new title in sleek serif lettering, TH Studio. I asked about it. She said it was temporary, just for marketing visibility. She made it sound like strategy. I made myself accept it. That night, I logged into the corporate registry. My hands were cold when I saw it. The company was listed under one name, Tessa Holm. I wasn't co-founder. I wasn't partner. I wasn't anything. I was categorized as an independent creative consultant. No ownership. No legal rights. No seat at the table I built. I checked the document timestamps. They matched the day she said, "Sign here, I'll handle the rest." She had not forgotten me. She had erased me. I didn't call her. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I sat in the dark with old photos, college dorm nights, shared scarves, a bracelet we said meant sisterhood. I studied every image and realized she had always been in front. And I had always let her. At sunrise I spoke aloud to my reflection, voice steady, eyes unfamiliar. I'm not going to watch her throw dirt over my name and call it business. That morning the plan began. Quiet. Controlled. Precise. She thinks she cut me out. She has no idea she just made room for something she will never see coming. Tessa didn't notice the shift in me, which proved how little she'd really seen me all these years. She kept inviting me to meetings as if nothing had changed, as if the word consultant wasn't stamped across my name in legal ink. I went along with it for now. At the office, she spoke louder than usual, like she was performing a version of herself she wanted Amon to applaud. She wore the bracelet I gave her years ago. Seeing it on her wrist felt like watching a thief walk around wearing your house keys as jewelry. One afternoon, while she was out for drinks with Amon and a PR rep, I stayed behind to finalize sketches. I didn't touch my pencil. I opened her office door with the key code she forgot I still knew. Her desk was immaculate except for a single leather portfolio. Inside were contracts, pitch decks, order sheets all branded with TH Studio. My designs were on every page. My signature wasn't on any of them. Then I found the email thread. She had written to Amon 2 months earlier, before she asked me to sign anything. The subject line, transition plan. The sentence that sealed it, Nora won't fight this. She never does. She prefers to stay in the background anyway. I didn't get angry. I got clear. Before leaving, I printed the emails and sent them to an encrypted cloud folder I'd created the night everything cracked. I didn't make the mistake of confronting her with feelings. Feelings don't win. Documentation does. The next day, she breezed into the studio with oat milk lattes and a story about Amon offering a keynote spot at a design summit. "It'll be the perfect moment to push the new brand," she said. "I'll name you as head of creative direction when we launch." Creative direction. a demotion dressed as gratitude. I smiled. Tell me everything. I want to help you make it perfect. She lit up, oblivious. People like her always assume help means loyalty, not leverage. That night, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Callum Rhodes, a contract attorney with a talent for precision and a memory of how I once helped him save his sister from losing her inheritance in a forged signature stunt. He picked up on the second ring. Nora. Didn't expect to hear your voice again. I need legal eyes, I said. Confidential. And I need you to assume the person I trusted most just stole my life. He exhaled like he'd been waiting for this call. Send everything. And don't warn her. People who erase you assume you'll disappear quietly. Use that. I already intended to. Meanwhile, I played the role Tessa wrote for me: silent support, steady background, the friend who folds her own edges so someone else can shine. She thought the summit keynote would crown her. She didn't know I had already started rewriting the ending she planned. Every day she spoke to me as if nothing had changed. Every day I learned to listen like someone building the kind of fire that doesn't smoke until the structure is ready to fall. Tessa announced the keynote like it was coronation day. She gathered the team in the lounge, pretending we were all one big dream she built. The International Design Collective accepted our submission, she beamed. I'll be speaking on innovation and identity in small brand architecture. Then, with a faux generous smile, she added, and of course I'll credit Nora for concept development. Credit. Not ownership. The room applauded. Most of them didn't know I'd designed the very portfolio that got her the slot. Some probably suspected, but Tessa had already started rewriting the story in rooms I wasn't invited into. I clapped too. Let her think I was still folded, still safe. Later, she asked me to review her slide deck. She sat across from me in the conference room, humming like someone rehearsing victory. Every slide was built on work I'd drafted over 8 years. The tagline on the last page read, "Founded and led by Tessa Hale, redefining intimate urban space." Founded and led. I didn't bother correcting her. That kind of lie needs to stand tall before it can be cut down. That night, I met Callum at a dim bar 3 blocks from the studio. He'd printed everything I'd sent him and marked it up like a surgeon. You own the original designs, the planning documents, the registrations, even the tax filings, he said. She removed your name from the company registry 2 weeks before she brought you that signature packet. That's premeditation. I figured, I said. She used your intellectual property to secure the keynote. And the rebrand. He smirked. She hasn't legally filed that yet. Which means you still can. A thrum of something sharp and electric moved through me. He slid a flash drive across the table. Everything I need to file injunctions, transfer rights back to you, and freeze any rollout she attempts. The only thing I need now is the perfect moment and your consent. You'll have both, I said. When I got home, I didn't cry or slam doors or rewrite history in my head. I made tea. I lit the cheap candle she once mocked. And I planned. The keynote was in 9 days. 9 days to let her keep thinking she'd won. 9 days to make sure when the floor gave out beneath her, the world would understand exactly who she'd stood on to climb. I started with the one thing she never saw coming, the truth told quietly to the right people. The next morning, I reached out to Fiona Delacourt, editor of Design for Me, the industry publication that loved a scandal dressed as a feature. Years ago she'd said, if you ever want to talk about the woman behind the woman everyone photographs, call me. I called. Is this about Tessa? She asked, unsurprised. It's about authorship, I said. And erasure. And a keynote speech built on theft. She didn't need more context. Tell me when and where, she said. And how loud you want it. I looked out the window toward the studio where Tessa was probably practicing her smile. Not loud, I said. Just clear and right when the room gets quiet to listen to her. I hung up and drafted a file packet labeled simply, Proof of Origin. While Tessa rehearsed her speech about innovation, I sharpened the edges of the one she didn't know was coming. The week before the keynote, Tessa was glowing like theft were skincare. She floated through the studio in tailored beige and borrowed confidence, telling vendors and junior designers how her firm was entering its next era of visibility. She even had new business cards printed. Tessa Holm, founder and principal architect. Founder. She had erased my name so completely she didn't even flinch when she said it out loud. What she didn't know was that Callum had already filed a pending intellectual property claim under my name, temporarily sealed, effective the moment I triggered it. All I needed was the right ignition point. That moment would be the keynote. 3 days before the event, I accidentally left my sketchbook at the studio. The original leather-bound one, dated and signed, with drafts of the waterfront pavilion, the split terrace lofts, the crescent atrium projects she had passed off as collaborative or, worse, entirely hers. She found it, of course. The next morning, she walked into the workspace with it cradled in her arm like she was doing me a favor. "You should put this somewhere safe," she said lightly. "Sentimental things get lost in transition." Transition. That was her word for erasure. I took the book and smiled. "You're right. Some things shouldn't be left in the wrong hands." She barely heard me. Why would she? In her mind, I was already history. That afternoon, she held a rehearsal in the glass conference room. She made the team sit and pretend to be an audience while she clicked through slides featuring my renderings and her name. I watched from the hallway, unseen, remembering the day I taught her how to use tracing paper to reimagine old downtown facades. She hadn't been talented then. Just ambitious. Ambition without conscience is scaffolding without bolts. The night before the keynote, she called me. "Wear something neutral tomorrow," she said. "I'll bring you on stage at the end when I thank you. You'll get a nice clip out of it." A clip. As if generosity could be used as currency to pay for theft. I played it soft. "Of course. Anything you need." She hung up content, which is the sweetest condition a betrayer can be in before the break. The morning of the summit arrived crisp and self-assured. The venue was a renovated opera house with velvet seats and cameras streaming to half the industry. Tessa looked at the stage like it was owed to her. I met Callum in the lobby. He handed me a sealed envelope. "As soon as she credits herself as project lead, this becomes public record," he said. "And the firm, the designs, and the name go back to you. There's also an automatic notification to her investors." "And Fiona?" I asked. He grinned. "Already on standby." I took my seat in the audience, third row, center aisle, close enough for her to feel my presence, far enough that she couldn't read my face. When her name was announced, she stepped onto that stage like she'd been born under a spotlight. She started strong, talking about growth, vision, sustainable structures. The crowd leaned in. Cameras flashed. Then she clicked to the slide with the waterfront pavilion, the design I drafted by hand before she even knew what a soffit was. "This," she said, "was the project that defined our firm's identity. My team helped develop it, but the concept, the execution, the presentation, that was mine." A lie that clean deserved consequences. I pulled out my phone and sent 2 silent messages. One to Callum, now. One to Fiona. Cue it. On stage, Tessa moved to the next slide but the screen flickered. Then the new image appeared. Not her branding. Not her signature. Cross and Hale Architects founding design registration. Nora Cross. Dated. Time-stamped. Watermarked. My name. My work. My firm. Gasps moved through the auditorium like wind through tall grass. Tessa froze. Then Fiona's voice, projected from the press gallery, rang out. "Ms. Hale, can you clarify why your keynote credits omit the firm's co-founder and original registered architect?" Every head turned. I stayed seated. I didn't need to stand to take back the room. The truth was taller than either of us. Tessa tried to speak, but the microphones picked up the tremor in her voice. "This is a misunderstanding." Callum, standing by the aisle, held up the injunction paperwork. "Not anymore." By the time security led her offstage, not escorted, but removed, she finally understood. I was never the background. I was the foundation. And she tried to build a kingdom on someone else's bedrock. Part 5 is ready when you are. They didn't call it removal in the official memo. They called it emergency reassignment pending investigation, but everyone in that auditorium knew exactly what it was: collapse by truth. Tessa didn't look back as she was led off stage. I wondered if she finally understood that silence isn't the same as weakness. Some of us stay quiet so there's room for the floor to give way under the right person. The summit director stepped up to the podium, awkward but composed. "We'll take a short recess," she said. People love a scandal more than coffee. Half the audience was already scrolling their phones, whispering, speculating, tagging. I stood only when I was ready. Backstage, Tessa was pacing like a caged thing. The moment she saw me, she lashed out. "You think this fixes anything? You think they'll believe you over me?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I don't need them to believe me. I just need them to see. She scoffed. "You were never going to be more than my silent partner. You don't know how to lead." "Maybe not," I said. "But I know how to build. And I know how to take back what's mine without pretending it was ever yours." Her expression cracked then. Not with guilt, she didn't have that kind of depth, but with fear. The kind that comes when a thief realizes the locks have changed. Security escorted her out the side entrance. No cameras followed, but whispers would. Reputations don't die dramatically. They just stop getting invitations. I walked back toward the auditorium. Callum was waiting, hands in his pockets, half a smile hiding a full one. "She'll lawyer up," he said. "She can try," I replied. "But I've got dated originals, logged drafts, and 3 interns who watched her rewrite file histories like she was erasing chalk." "And Lydia?" he asked. I exhaled. "She's not my friend anymore. But she will testify if it keeps her name clean." He nodded. "Smart." Before I returned to the floor, I found a quiet corner and called the one person I hadn't yet faced properly. "Fiona." She answered on the first ring. "It worked," she said. "It did," I replied. "You sure you're still willing to take lead PR on this?" She laughed once. "Are you kidding? I've waited 3 years to use the phrase misappropriation of authorship in a headline with teeth." Back in the hall, the director approached me, nerves hiding under courtesy. "Ms. Cross, would you be willing to finish the presentation? The audience is still here. And the work is still yours." The offer didn't feel like pity. It felt like recalibration. So I stepped onto that stage under my own name for the first time in years. I didn't explain the scandal or mention Tessa at all. I talked about form and intention, about cities that breathe and structures that hold memory. I talked about the waterfront pavilion and why we designed the glass to bend the light toward the river at dusk. I watched the room listen differently. Not like they were being sold something, but like they were being told the truth. Afterwards, people I hadn't heard from in years found me in the crowd. Some apologized for assuming Tessa was the visionary. Some offered contracts. Some just said, "We should have known." But I didn't need them to know. I just needed them to remember. That night, I went back to the studio. My studio. The door still had her name on it. I peeled it off slowly, cleaned the residue, and stood in the doorway with the lights off. The city glowed through the windows. Glass and steel and reflection. The kind of skyline I used to love before it started looking like a warning. I ran my hand across the drafting desk, the same one where she once sat beside me, watching me sketch the crescent atrium like it was the beginning of our future. Trust makes you generous. Betrayal makes you precise. I locked the door behind me and walked into the rest of my life without her name anywhere on it.